Hello and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. Let's discuss the financial system as a whole in addition to Ripple and XRP today. And I would like to begin with the present situation. Before we get into the specific assets and projects within crypto, I want to say that XRP has always been on my mind because, in my opinion, it has the potential to improve banking efficiency. And Bitcoin has caught the attention of a lot of people recently. As promised, I'll be discussing the absurdity that is the prediction that Bitcoin will be worth $1 million in 90 days. We can discuss this further. I think Bitcoin is a major distraction for many people. Bitcoin isn't the only cryptocurrency out there. Bitcoin is not the end-all, be-all, in my opinion. As we put more effort into other projects, particularly utility-grade ones, I believe that these will be the ones to have the greatest impact on people's daily lives. The utility, efficiency, power, and potential of such projects make me believe that their true value will far exceed current estimates. And so forth. And I believe that knowing the banking sector, knowing what causes these major collapses, knowing why, these collapses happen, and realizing that a lot of it is just liquidity are all important. The recent bank run was caused by a lack of liquidity, and this is because banks are using client funds, your money, as leverage. They are using our funds as a pawn in a game of leverage. And when we see a sizable sum being completely withdrawn, well, guess what? A panicked rush to withdraw money from a bank. As time goes on, the ripple effects of the outbreak become increasingly visible. Since many banking sector inefficiencies are eliminated when you address X, or liquidity, I anticipate a massive price increase for XRP and other tokens with similar use case potential. But that depends on whether or not they will be put to use. Furthermore, in my view, XRP will be put to use on a much larger scale than anyone could have anticipated. But let's rewind to 2008 for a moment. This, then, was a piece from the NYT. This was written on October 14, 2008, and it was published on October 28, Excuse me, I was going to say the 2018 controversy surrounding a $250 billion banking deal. There has been a $300 billion, as is common knowledge at this point. Shift in the Federal Reserve's holdings. My guess is that the goal was to increase overall liquidity while also setting the stage for future bailouts. Furthermore, we are aware that the Fed plans to inject $2 trillion into the system, which is completely insane in the current economic climate. Also, we saw that the United States is seriously considering giving banks cash. Today is October 98, 2008. There appears to be a repeat of this pattern. However, this rescue only cost $700 billion. Yes, that was the final word. Today, we're talking about a figure of $2 trillion. Wild. Finally, this was protected by a paywall. Nonetheless, we anticipate that Bank of America will lay off 35,000 workers over the course of 3 years. Just now, we reported on UBS. To lay off that many workers, they'll need to eliminate 10,000 positions. Credit Suisse has approved the transaction, in which we at the moment find ourselves. It's something we've seen before. Not every event in the past can be seen as a repeat of the present. That's a rhyming sentence. Because of the problems we're having, I fear this event will dwarf the one in 2008. The amount of money we intend to invest is a big factor, too. It's a surefire recipe for catastrophe. But I think it's especially important right now for everyone to keep this tab open. I mean, if you can't stand to watch it all day. Okay. As a matter of fact, I believe everyone's attention should be drawn here. The daytime is the best time to check it. If you have time, give it a look. However, we're talking about the major financial institutions here. In other words, we have been keeping a close eye on this. In light of the recent precipitous drop in banking stocks, we have been getting ready for this to officially launch today, Monday. They were losing ground by double digits in some cases. Some of them are still losing by double digits. However, nobody has touched these since last Friday. I can't wait to see what these are like. These financial institutions rank among the world's largest. Even when adjusted for market capitalization, the fortunes of some of the world's largest companies have declined significantly. There was a 6.5% drop at Santander as well. Similarly, the numbers for some of these others have dropped substantially. And if you take a look at their graphs, say, for instance, at Santander as an example, I mean, it's crazy to see where we are right now if you look at some of these charts for these banks, because here we have 2008, and here we have 2007 as well. From where we are right now, this could be the very beginning. Technically, if you go back far enough, this could be the moment when we finally get that spark that propels us back to the pinnacle. But think about what might develop in the future. Basically, I don't think we're done talking about the banking industry just yet. No, it's not done yet. The banking industry will take a beating for the foreseeable future. And I believe it will be only a matter of time before things start to seriously break and crack. Here at Zero Hedge, we are also aware of recent bank failures. Just take a look at this. This is the current situation. Reflect on 2007 and 2008, please. In spite of the fact that there are a large number of problem banks, the line must be straight. Then there is the dotted line. The resources available at question banks. Take a look at the meteoric rise in problem banks between 2007 and 2008. In addition, we noticed a significant rise in both 2009 and 2010. It didn't even slow down or revert to its original speed until 2018. We've come a long way, baby. Personally, I think this event in our history may have occurred at the close of 2006 or the start of 2006. Who do you suppose we are, exactly? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. I'm interested in hearing what you think, but this chart seems to indicate this is something we haven't even begun. Suppose you were to picture a world where the present day looks like 2008. My prediction is that it will be significantly worse than 2008. I have repeated myself numerous times. There will be reports claiming it won't be as bad as 2008, but I assure you it will be far worse. This information comes to us courtesy of Bloomberg, as can be seen right here. On the 18th, the FDIC announced that it would insure deposits at medium-sized US banks for a period of 2 years. The deposits are reportedly moving into firms deemed too big to fail, which poses a risk to the financial system and could lead to further bank runs without outside assistance. What I'm about to tell you, I'm telling you right now. In many ways, we are witnessing a repetition of the past. In a mean way, you want to remark. It's the main attraction. Unfortunately, I anticipate that things will rapidly deteriorate. There isn't necessarily a pattern, as I've already mentioned. That's a rhyming sentence. And yet, the issues persist. Issues keep coming up. No one seems to have learned from our past errors. Of course, all you can do is inquire. Many times in the past and even now, you're repeating yourself. Now, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Is this happening on purpose, or are they sabotaging the economy so that the new one can be introduced? Given that I share this belief with the majority of people, I think there's a master plan at work here. Send me some feedback on what you think. Of course, we can also see from here. Yesterday, I predicted that this would be the day that cryptocurrency proved its mettle against the banking system as we know it. Things are about to heat up quickly. Get ready for the upcoming week. For the rest of this month, I think that this is going to be the case. This is going to be fascinating. Extremely fascinating. The view from over here is good, too. Michael Branch tweeted a link to the article you're looking for. Larry Fink, chairman of BlackRock, believes the market is still volatile. And I think this is just the beginning. As I said before, this is only the beginning. To collapse next in the asset liability market. Unsustainable policies implemented in the financial sector over the years haunted in the event of a follow-up crisis. 100%. Now, let's discuss this further. Let's discuss the forecast that, in 90 days, a Bitcoin will be worth $1 million. It's so absurd that it's laughable. On the other hand, we do notice. Maybe not $1 million, but for sure the world is realizing the US dollar is a fraud. I've been communicating with bankers and lawyers over the past few weeks, etc., who have intelligence but still believed in the fiat currency. They've come to terms with the fact that Bitcoin is the genuine article. Again, there's no way to enjoy Bitcoin maxis. We can't win an argument with them. And yet, I will say this. For its part, I believe Bitcoin is capable of supporting a sizable price increase. Oh, well, Bilali basically just put this up. I really want to get that name right. The bit signal is present, so I'm guessing not. Where do you hit the virtual panic button? What evidence could possibly prove that this is not a false alarm? I'm raising the alarm about the hidden financial crisis by putting up $1 million in Bitcoin as a bit signal. You can earn $1,000 from each of the top 1,000 replies that include charts, graphs, stats, memes, etc. And he basically kept rambling on and on about it. However, he did explain why this is possible. The reason why he's finally opening up is because of the government bank. Everyone has been ruined by the banks and the people who regulate them. The bank has been hiding its insolvency from its depositors and is planning to print $2 trillion to hyperinflate the dollar in the information age. Rapid progress is expected. Now is the time to buy Bitcoin and completely withdraw your coins from exchanges. I agree that it is best to remove fiat currency from exchanges and withdraw all cryptocurrency from banks. As for me, I have zero faith in financial institutions. Don't trust the bank's promises of a loan. As I've said before, we believe that a Bitcoin price increase will serve as a global warning. The idea that the Fed is hyperinflating the dollar and the value of the moon as a meme. In light of this, his plan to exchange $1 million in Bitcoin in 90 days is complete nonsense. I went as far as saying that, in my opinion, the main motivation behind the $1 million Bitcoin calls is to garner hype and attention. Believe Bitcoin will reach $1 million in the next 90 days is ludicrous. New records may be set by the end of the third quarter, though. What's the pinnacle? One cannot say. Not that bothered. In 2019, I intend to take some profit. This is something I have always emphasized. By the end of the third quarter, I believe we will have seen the peak of the cryptocurrency market. If Bitcoin keeps going up like this, I could see it reaching $150,000. Is it possible that it will make $150,000 this year? There are doubts about that. If we do set a new record, I don't see it being too far off from 100K. One more time, the operative phrase here is if there is still a long way that we need to go to confirm that Bitcoin is making a new all-time high. Unfortunately, we face considerable obstacles that must be overcome. However, I anticipate 2018 to be a banner year for cryptocurrency due to the promising future prospects we currently enjoy. However, it's clear that this can't be kicked any further at this point. This crisis will be unlike any we've seen before. On March 12 it was $25 billion, and by March 16 it had jumped to $2 trillion. As a matter of fact, there are no limits. Depreciation of the dollar makes it a bad choice to store wealth in the currency. Nonetheless, Bitcoin serves as a haven for people all over the world. Now, once more, I do think that much of what we are seeing in the crypto and gold markets is the result of people diversifying their holdings away from the US dollar and into assets they believe will provide a good hedge against the US dollar's dropping value and the banking system's collapse. If you still don't believe the US banking crisis is as dire as it is, take a look at the balance sheet we'll be able to see once we get downstairs. These advances constitute a form of quantitative easing, or new currency that has been created. Together, they add $300 billion to the Fed's balance sheet. In other words, the Fed undid roughly half of the reductions it made over the previous year in just 1 week. Yes, things have been difficult. And, I think it's important for everyone to pay attention to the current events, what with the $2 trillion at stake and all. Comparing this $2 trillion to the $700 billion they wanted to inject into the system not too long ago is eerily similar, in my opinion. This, however, is happening on a much larger scale, with predictable results. As a result, I have repeatedly advised anyone reading this to withdraw their funds from banks and instead invest them in assets they anticipate will appreciate in value, as I am convinced that the traditional system can only end badly. Gold is an excellent opportunity, in my opinion. For those who are extremely vigilant and who, see the value in profit-taking when profits are just too great to ignore, silver is a great opportunity, and cryptocurrency will generate a lot of cash. Still, I'd anticipate a rise in stock prices as well. Sure, there are some that stand out. However, I agree with what we saw over at Kevin Cage's place. I paraphrased it exactly. But, he said, picture this story continuing for the next year as other major banks fail. People who still had cash on hand flocked to the cryptocurrency market. Moreover, the 186 financial institutions involved in the predicament were discussed. Exactly the same problem had arisen again for Silicon Valley Bank. Consequently, I believe the story arc is already established as we concentrate on this. And on the dollar, I did some on the dollar recently where I was mentioning where we could go on the US dollar, and it was both down, and we're still looking at this, and I'm still watching this, and keep in mind that the dollar is a great way to see where the market is headed. As a result, you can see why the people who bet against Bitcoin at the bottom in December, November, and even the January timeframe push were so incredibly stupid. Why? Because we knew in September that the dollar had reached its peak. Right. In addition, beginning in the month of September. Well, September has arrived. We, fell about 12.20% beginning in September. In order to fill you in quickly. Only Bitcoin fell. No, I shouldn't say that, the decline was still quite substantial. About 30%, roughly. Now, what we saw after that was a major increase of around 54%. This is because of the state of the dollar, the global economy, and the financial system. Actually, the vast majority of people are currently investigating alternative investment options. For reference, I'm accepting Bitcoin. In a moment of weakness, I realized, I must apologize. This is the sum, not the Bitcoin price chart I had open at the time. Still, the sum is a beautiful chart in its own right. However, I thought I'd quickly introduce you to Bitcoin. Keeping this in mind, let's examine Bitcoin's performance during the month of September. The US dollar has reached its all-time high. Bitcoin lost around 31% of its value. As I said, then, the two are extremely similar. However, I've included XRP in the grand total for completeness sake. All of our assets are included in this as well. If we look back far enough, we can pinpoint the exact moment that institutional investors began pouring money into cryptocurrency. Here we have March of the year 2020. As is evident, March of 2020 was a perfect illustration of the circulation of funds. So, the dollar did fall significantly from its peak in March of 2020. The decline was around 13.5%. Why is crypto useful? The crypto market experienced a massive upswing. The run-up from the March 2020 lows was roughly 2,000, almost 700%. In fact, the dollar's value has increased by 28.8% since its low point. However, our momentum is already beginning to slow. And I do think this is the start of something big. I anticipate a decline in altitude. I've considered a few different avenues of possibility, and based on what I've seen, I'm anticipating a 17% decline in the value of the US dollar. Furthermore, I believe support for the petrodollar arrangement is eroding. However, looking back at the entire history of crypto reveals that major runs up have always been signaled by the US dollar. Such a peak in the value of the US dollar can be seen in 2016 and 2017. Can you guess what the final outcome was for crypto? Numbers on a chart. It made a huge ascent from its highest point, The US dollar has reached its highest value ever. This time, the entire run to the top or bottom of the US dollar is 6,000%. A bear market ensued, lasting until March's market peak. And just like that, we're on a tier of epic proportions. In September, things tend to peak. I think the beginning of our huge tier is here. I think we're just getting started here. The events of 2017 and 2018 might be replicated, perhaps on a slightly larger scale, in the future. Therefore, perhaps something along these lines, where the market does experience a significant increase and we do reach extremely high levels. I won't be able to pinpoint an exact number, but I think we'll hit somewhere between $10 and $12 trillion. It's feasible to get from $10 to $12 trillion. How much cash and other assets enter the cryptocurrency market is crucial. But there are many things on which I'm intent. While I don't think Bitcoin will ever be worth $1 million, I do believe that the current narrative surrounding cryptocurrencies is one of the most bullish we've seen in a very long time. If you did, please hit that like button, turn on our notification settings, and stay tuned for even more free videos in the future. See you later, bye.